Hi, welcome to Collective Gifts. I'm Noella and this is Rachel.
Hello, hello, Collective Gifts. Welcome back. Today is day 2 of our 5-day monthly fast for March. We wanted to talk to you about a really good topic today, which is you'll find yourself doing this too, right? Where you compare yourselves to normal, successful people. And when you do, what happens? Now you start feeling ashamed of who you are and what you've become, or of just bad decisions that you made. Or you start feeling insecure and not good enough because you don't have it all together like so and so, or you haven't accomplished as much as so and so. And so we want to remind you and encourage you that that's not what God does. He doesn't compare us with one another. He doesn't look at our status. He doesn't look at our achievements. He doesn't look at the things that we do. He looks at our heart. And that's what we need to do, is just remember who we are in Christ and look at our heart. And as we look at our heart, and he does that too, then he's able to redeem us from those mistakes or those shortcomings.
And so you're not going to be judged upon just that one bad decision that you may have made for your life. No, that's not the whole thing. You have all other things that you have done, in your life. And so you're not going to be known for that one thing that you did, because God's not going to point it out to you every time. No, he's very merciful and gracious. And he knows that, if you have that within your heart to do and follow him, it'll follow through with your actions and the things that you do and what you can accomplish in your life. And there's many people in the Bible that, may have made bad decisions, but ultimately in the end, they decided to follow God. And so you can see that they're known for other things as opposed to just the one bad thing that they did. And so one example would be Rahab. And we know Rahab was a prostitute. And so she chose to do that profession for herself. But ultimately, she made the decision to help the two spies so that they can go forth, in knocking down the walls of Jericho. And so we know that Rahab it's known that she was a prostitute, but she was also known for what she has done. And so she was accepted by God because of what she did.
And there's other people too, like Ruth. Ruth was a Moabite, and we know that her lineage came from incest. And so the Israelites despised them because of that. Plus, Ruth had married Mahlon, who died before his time, and she was considered barren because she didn't have any heirs. And so going back to, with Naomi to the Israelites, they ended up being in poverty and not having a good reputation, obviously, right? So they probably felt a lot of shame going back, being poor, and also just with their history of not having children. So they're considered as being sort of like maybe even cursed, right? Because if you were barren, it was considered that maybe you did something, you sinned against God. But Ruth was faithful to God. She served God, and God saw her heart, and he had turned the situation around for her, where her shortcoming of being a Moabite, a widow, and barren, right? He turned it around where now she was able to go forth and be married to Boaz, who ended up being a kinsman redeemer. And look at what happened with Ruth and Rahab. They both end up being in the lineage of Jesus. And so if you look at Jesus, why would Jesus be born in his lineage where there was a prostitute, where there was, a Moabite who was a byproduct of incest in her people? I mean, like that, you would think you would have to choose nice, clean, holy, pretty people, right? Smart people. But no, God didn't look at that exterior. He looked at people's hearts. And even with Moses, he ended up being a murderer, right? Like he murdered an Egyptian to help be a deliverer of his people, but that was before his time was ordained for it. And he responded in the flesh. And so even at that, God had redeemed him. Just because he made that one mistake didn't mean that God was going to reject him from delivering, Israel out of Egypt. He still worked with him. And so it's the same thing for us. No matter whatever mess ups, mistakes, or even shortcomings of who we are, where we came from, it doesn't matter to God. It's a leveling playing field. All that matters is what's in our heart. And when we choose to go forth and to serve God, when we choose to allow him to be our author and finisher of our faith, like we talked about, then he's able to go forth and guide us into our own redemption story. And as a matter of fact, of what Noella was saying, it's not about that one bad mistake. It's the sum total of every decision that we
Yes.
make. That's what matters. And so when God, works in our life, He doesn't look at that one bad thing. He sees the potential. He sees you as being worthy of going through your life journey. He sees that you are worthy of going forth and having that redemption story because you are worth it. You matter. And that with these people, with Rahab, with Ruth, with Moses, their lives didn't just affect them. It affected generations to come. It also affected people around them. And that's the same thing for you with what God is doing in your life. So be encouraged that those mess ups that you have, it doesn't matter. God's grace, His love, His mercy, His faithfulness is upon us. So if we allow Him, we go forth in humility instead of having a stubborn heart or hiding in shame and inferiority or insecurities. If we just go forth humbly to Him, He'll be able to bring forth that healing and restoration in our life and to redeem us so that those mess ups will be turned around into a marvelous story.
And so we want to encourage you, just because you messed up, you maybe even more than one time in your life, that's okay. You just pick yourself up, and go forth and know that God has forgiven you and He has given you everything you need to go forth in success. And so you don't need to compare yourself to others because we are each unique in our own selves. And so, you can't really compare yourself, even though, like, maybe your classmate is like really successful. That's okay. Like with your life is your own journey. It's your own testimony. No one else will have that same testimony. And so God can use that and use you to go forth in success and to be able to be the light to the world, to share and encourage others with your story.
And that's true because you can't control what other people do, right? Like their successes and everything. It's not your life. Your life is your life. You're in control of your life. So focus on you and what you are created to do and just walk it out because God has plans to prosper you, to give you a hope and a future. So be encouraged. You don't have to feel ashamed or insecure or badly about yourself. God redeems your mistakes and your shortcomings. So hope this word encouraged you. We love you. We appreciate you. God bless you and shalom.
Shaloha.